My Cape Coral waterfront is a teardown. Can I sell it for more than lot value? Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, if we've never met, my name is David Myers. I'm a real estate agent with eXp Realty here in Cape Coral, Florida. I've been helping buyers and sellers buy and sell waterfront property ever since 2003 when I was first licensed. There is a question that I get a lot of times from people who talk about their home being a teardown, and they want to know whether they can sell that home for more than lot value. The simple answer to that is usually yes, and it really depends on where the property is. But the actual home that sits on the lot and the lot are actually valued independently. That's one of the things that a lot of people don't understand about waterfront property, is that unlike a neighborhood where all the houses are relatively similar, waterfront property is largely based on the actual lot value plus the house value equals the total value. Now, back in 2003, when I first got my license, there were new homes being built around Cape Coral, especially in the southeast area of Cape Coral, known as the Yacht Club. Now, the Yacht Club is the absolute oldest neighborhood in Cape Coral, so the oldest homes down there were built in the late 50s. Okay, the newest homes were completed last week. So in that area, you have everything from 1959 two-bedroom, 1,000 square foot homes with a one-car garage, all the way up to 7,000 square foot, modern art masterpieces on corner cul-de-sacs, okay? So back in 2003, there was a craze. I mean, the market was going up, rapidly, and a lot of people were buying the older homes to tear them down. Let's talk about highest and best use for a second. Now, the highest and best use of any piece of property changes over time. Now, in 1959, the highest and best use of a waterfront lot in Cape Coral was the type of house that people bought and built in 1959. And in 1959, if you were making a bunch of money, which is nothing compared to today's standards, but if you were a wealthy, well-off individual, people didn't live in 7,000 square foot homes, especially the people that came from the Midwest and moved down to Cape Coral to have either a small home for fishing and vacations or a smaller home for retirement. People's standards of living back then were a lot more modest. So a lot of the homes that were built in the late 50s and early 60s and 70s in the Yacht Club are technically functionally obsolete by today's standards. When you look at what people want in a home right now, it's changed a lot over the years. It went from, like, my grandmother's house had a door on the kitchen, and the kitchen was basically like the woman version of a man cave, the housewife version of a man cave. And my grandmother would go in there and cook dinner with the door closed, and she liked the kitchen area to be separate from the main living area. Well, as time progresses, people wanted this open concept type style where you walk in and you see the kitchen, which would horrify my grandmother, but it's a more modern style. So in about the early 90s, 1994 or so, there became a trend in Southwest Florida that the style was more Mediterranean. So these new Mediterranean homes that were built on vacant lots, a lot of people wanted that style of home. They wanted homes with dual walk-in closets in the master bedroom. They wanted homes with higher ceilings, 8-foot doors. All these things that today are considered normal if you walk into a newer home. And when you walk into a house from the 50s or 60s, where you just have maybe one closet in the bathroom, or the master bathroom is connected to the master bedroom, it's en suite, but it's not opulent, there's no giant soaking tub in the middle of the room, then people started talking about those older homes being just teardowns, right? My house is just a teardown. So that was the craze. A lot of people that were buying homes in 2003, 4, 5, 6, they were actually buying them with the intention of tearing them down. And the term teardown became somewhat derogatory, where it's like, oh, that house is just a teardown, because it didn't have any of the modern features of modern homes. It wasn't the highest and best use for waterfront property. I always tell people that, Cape Coral couldn't be built again today because of environmental regulations. But if it was built today, every single home in there would be one of these newer style, big, opulent homes. It would be extremely expensive. So you can thank your lucky stars that they built it in 1959, because it gives people who don't want a $4 million house the opportunity to live on the water. So getting back to my point about the, does the house actually hold value in the equation? It absolutely does. In 2007, when the market first crashed, and then 2008, when it really crashed, you saw a trend develop where instead of people buying houses to tear them down because you couldn't just, fog a mirror and get a mortgage, then people started remodeling older homes again. People would buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, waterfront house and remodel it. And some people would buy a 2-bedroom, 1-car garage house and remodel it. Because even though the value is the sum total of the lot value versus, plus the house value equals the total value, some people just don't have the budget to, build a $4 million home or to carry or own something like that. So in 2008, the teardown craze kind of slowed down, and a lot of people remodeled a lot of these older homes. Now, are they technically teardowns? Yeah, I guess you could say technically, because they don't fit the highest and best use of that particular property type. Like I said, nobody would buy, if Cape Coral was developed today, no one would build a 1,200 square foot home on the river. It just wouldn't happen. In fact, the developer probably wouldn't even let you. But the fact that those homes do exist is good in a sense, and they do hold more value, because there are people who are retiring in 4, 5, 6 years, right? They want to buy something today. They want to enjoy it with their family a little bit between now and the time they retire. And they may want to rent it out or, do the VRBO or, which is vacation rental by owner, or one of the other, rental programs, short-term rental programs. And people will stay in a home like that because they're comparing it to a hotel, right, in those situations. And when you come down and enjoy your waterfront home, you don't necessarily need a 5,000 square foot house. You don't want to pay $300 a month in electric bills and $30,000 in taxes for a sometimes home. So if you think of it this way, if you bought a vacant lot, what are you going to do? Come down and pitch a tent or spend 2 weeks in a camper on your vacant lot? The vacant lot actually has no utility value for anybody who's in that interim stage, who wants to buy something today, hold it for several years, and then either move into it and totally remodel it and live in a smaller home, or they want to tear it down in eventuality and build a nice, big, opulent new home. But to answer the question, yes, the house actually has value regardless what it is. Now, that's for some people, right? If you are the $4 million house buyer, if you're a guy who wants to have 5,000 square feet, 20-foot ceilings, an open to the second story, great room with 20-foot glass panels that look out over the river, you're going to look at that house and say, this is a teardown, and the only way I'd ever buy it is just to rip it down and build something nice. But if you're somebody who's moving from Pennsylvania or Connecticut or Detroit, and you want to live on the river, but you don't want to spend $4 million, well then, hey, you can get a $800,000-$900,000 lot price on the river, have an older, nicely remodeled house. I mean, your view in the backyard and your enjoyment of that property is going to be identical to your neighbor living in the 4,000 square foot house, but you get to do it for cheap for a while. So yeah, the house always carries some value to somebody. Not everybody is going to buy, is only going to buy the most opulent, newest, greatest, best thing. If that was the case, there would be no such thing as secondhand cars and, people making use of stuff that still has utility value that may not be brand new. So yes, the short answer is that the house sitting on the lot has some value to some people. To other people, it has no value, and they would just tear it down, and it's worth negative 15 grand or whatever it costs to rip it down. But the market there is broad, and there are a lot of different buyers. Everybody has a different idea of what's important to them. I'm going to go over this in future videos that I'm going to do actually starting today about the drivers of value for waterfront. And there are 14 or 15 of them. It's not just location, location, location. There's a lot that goes into it. There's canal width, canal depth, whether it has bridges or not, the location on the canal, the location in the city. There's the different types of houses. All those different things drive value. And everybody has their own unique ideas about what is more important to them. So for some people, a certain house would just be a deal breaker and they would never move into it because it's functionally obsolete. They're not going to deal with it. They have the budget and the ability to be spoiled for choice and say, no, I'm not living in one of those. I want something brand new. To them, an older home in a great spot is a teardown. But for somebody who wants to get into the market and wants to enjoy a waterfront property for a period of years and doesn't need all the opulence of everything that's brand new, then the house definitely does hold value. And as I get into the videos later in this series, I'll explain that. Okay? So if you have questions, boy, it's great when people ask questions because it gives me the opportunity to answer those questions in this format. If you have specific questions, don't hesitate to reach out and give me a call. You can contact me by telephone. My telephone number, my mobile number is 239-529-0555. My email address is waterfrontluxury@gmail.com. And with the phone number, don't hesitate to text. It might be old, but I get the text thing. All right? So if there's anything I could do for you between now and then, let me know. And until then, I'll see you out on the waterfront.